Do you ever have weeks or stretches of time where you feel like you've been in a rut or some patterns are kind of getting stuck and you just haven't quite been able to dislodge yourself from them? Well, that's what this week's Ordinary Nature Guidance video is going to be about. And let me just say a little bit about the place that I'm speaking from. I live in Eastern Washington State, if you haven't caught any of my videos before. And I'm here in my backyard, and I'm really fortunate that I can kind of duck out into my backyard when I'm needing some nature connection time. And I really try to focus on these ordinary nature locations that people can start to approach as their kind of nature sanctuary. And for you, maybe you're lucky also and have a yard. Maybe you're in a setting where you have a short walk or drive to a public park or gardens. Maybe you live near forested areas. Maybe you're in an urban environment and you live in an apartment and need to access like a courtyard or maybe a plant on a balcony. It really can just be one living being, plant, animal, you name it, it all works. So it doesn't have to be some kind of pristine wilderness area. Those are wonderful, but really it's about having something you can get to most days without a ton of effort. So like the last few weeks, I just noticed that I was really getting caught up in a lot of what I think of as like the to-do mentality and sort of some vestiges of the achievement society that I used to be a bit more ensconced in when I was a professor. And, I'm like a decade away from that life, but its roots go deep, and it's been a process and a journey for me to kind of extricate myself and see that there are other orders of living that can companion me. And it doesn't have to be like living off grid or doing something extreme like that. Like I have a family, I have obligations in the normal world. And so for me, it's about how can I find this rhythm where I can move around different ways that the world is built and still feel like I'm honoring a value system at my core that is what I really want to be aligned with. And so these last few weeks, I got a little bit teetering around that. And so I'm going to kind of do what I call an inversion week. But what do I mean by that? It's that the things that I was maybe overemphasizing, like what I had to get done, calendar time, that kind of efficiency way of living, where it's about recognizable achievement, all of those things that in the contemporary world are what maybe in public facing life people can see the easiest. And my big journey has been how it's really the unseen, smaller moments of presence in a life where the juicy stuff happens. And at least here in the United States, those aren't really recognized or celebrated that much. And so we kind of have to do that ourselves within our own friend circles or families. And so I mean things like, for me, that small moment I might have had with my daughter yesterday, where we found a caterpillar in the earth together and spent a few minutes like watching it kind of crawl and find its way. Right? That seems like such a tiny thing. And of course, there's like zero recognition in contemporary society for those tiny moments of presence with other beings. And in fact, for me, really cool things happen when I make those moments the priority, right? Where I don't brush them off or like gloss past them, but really kind of just like take a little time and space to be in those moments and just to accord them the value that they do truly have, right? And sometimes I kind of get a little bit distracted from that path. So this week I'm trying to kind of come back to it. And if that's something you're curious about, you can explore it this week with me, and I'll suggest how I'm going to go about that. And you can try it out for yourself and adapt it as you'd like and see what works for you, right? It's not about rules or like some kind of rigid method. It's nothing like that. It's more, here's some suggestions, here's an invitation, and you can try it out and see how it feels in your life. So for me, what that's going to mean is in this inversion week, I try to start and end my days, and maybe one time in the middle where I'm going to come out to these trees. Okay? And I'm just going to let all of my senses be open and allow in this communication, you could say, from my surrounding environment. I'll do that for a few minutes in the morning, and I'm going to add doing that a few minutes at night. Even in the dark, even 5 minutes makes a difference. And then I'm going to find one other time in the day I can do that. And so some days that'll be I can come out into the yard. And some days, if I'm out in the world, it's going to mean I find 5 or 10 minutes when I'm in transit where I'm going to pull my car over to our nearby park, and I'm going to get out and find a blossoming flower, a patch of grass, even just a rock to sit on. Okay, I'm not going to overthink it. It doesn't have to be fancy. And so I'm just going to have a few more of those touch points with nature. And then when I'm there, I'm going to have that sensory openness and allowance. And then I'm going to call into my felt memory some presence-rich experience I've recently had with someone who's important to me. Okay? That's it. That's the invitation. And I'm just going to do that every day for about a week. And I call that the inversion week, where when my priorities or my felt sense of things gets a little bit lopsided, I drop in those little touch point seeds with the natural world. And I really call into my felt memory, and I give recognition and celebration to those tiny presence-rich moments in human life that it might be the rest of the society doesn't see, doesn't care about, but they're in fact the everything. Try it out, see what happens, and I'd love to hear about it.